Did you know there are 30 million evangelical Christians in the United States of America that do not even vote? Welcome to Million Voices. Our heart is to change that.
Well, and joining us today from the Sunshine State, the great state of California, is Ken and Tiffany Williams. Ken is the co-founder of Equipped to Love Ministries as well as Changed Movement. Welcome, Ken and Tiffany. We're so glad that you've joined us.
Oh, thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
We're glad to be here.
Oh, you guys, it's so good to see you. We got to say, we are longtime friends of Tiffany's, and so this is a treat. Thank you so much. Okay, let's just jump into it. Tell us about Equipped to Love. What is it?
Equipped to Love is a ministry that I founded with a couple of friends. We each had a story of the Lord really leading us out of a homosexual background. And so when we realized all that's going on in the world and just there's so much confusion today over people's identities, it's very hard to understand for people like, you know, what am I feeling in some cases and why am I attracted to a certain person? Or some people experience even some kind of abuse and then find themselves with feelings they didn't have before. All those types of things. We saw those things happening in culture. We saw laws being passed and we're like, you know what, we need to really pull our attention and figure out, okay, how did the Lord meet us in our places of confusion and how can we offer help to others that find themselves the way that we were? So that it started very organically, just like with a desire to help people address issues that were really deep and impacting them.
Wow, that is beautiful.
Awesome.
So what are some of the ways that Equipped to Love is engaging with the body of Christ today? I'd love to hear some stories about that.
Sure. We do a lot of teaching. So in our church locally here in California, also there's a large ministry school that we're connected to, and we regularly teach some classes in there, do preaching at different churches. Well, churches will contact us and say, hey, could you help us understand this issue? We want to be able to actually be a light and love on people instead of coming and hitting people over the head with some rules or even scripture, you know, and how can we actually offer to help and care about the issues that people care about while upholding biblical standards. And so we travel and minister at different churches. We have online teachings. We have a Facebook and Instagram and things like that, just to be able to share testimonies and to just give encouragement. We meet with parents and loved ones of people that are struggling with their identity, and just any way we can, we're trying to get the message out there that actually God cares about this issue. He's not coming with any kind of judgment. He's actually coming as a father wanting to actually love people into a healthier version of themselves. So we're just trying to get the message out every way that we can.
Well, you guys, thanks so much for what you do. I don't imagine there was much of a roadmap for this, or you're just writing it like you and the Lord.
Right.
Is that right?
Pretty much.
But
yeah.
it's hard not to share when you have a testimony of what God has done.
Yeah.
You kind of feel compelled to share. So that part has been easy.
Yeah,
Good.
that's true. It largely has been driven by the testimony.
Oh, so good. Is it going well?
How do you define that?
Right.
Yeah, how do you define that?
I'll tell you what, I have never felt more alive. You know, the old movie Chariots of Fire where he says, you know, I experience the pleasure of the Lord when I run. He was this long distance runner. And that's what I have experienced because, you know, for all of the vitriol out there and this is, I mean, when you talk about an issue like this, you're talking about your identity. You know, it's like if politics and religion are fought over because they're core values, think about how deep it is when it's you believe it's exactly who you are, right? People believe that they are gay or that they are, you know, transgender, things like that today. And so when you start presenting a different option or a different story, that feels very painful to people who feel that that's who they are. And we get that. And so because of that, we get, you know, death threats, and we get, you know, just people in a lot of pain kind of throwing rocks back our direction. But with that said, I would say that not all of the church, but portions of the church have been guilty at kind of throwing stones at homosexuals or at the gay pride parade. They were the ones known for picketing or holding up mean signs or things like that in years past. And so, it's a messy world that we're in with our ministry, because there's just a lot of pain.
Wow.
But with that said, we encounter people all the time that it's like, oh my gosh, thank you. This has been my inner struggle. So many people that we know, I guarantee you, everybody watching probably knows multiple people that have been struggling with their sexual identity and they've never told anyone.
And it's cool to see what God is doing, where he's really raising people up to share their stories. We see people coming out of the woodwork to exclaim what God has done and say, no, I once was this, but now I'm this. Yeah. And that part has blown us out of the water.
Yeah. So while there are negative things, it's like, that's okay. There's yes, I'm loving it, because we see people actually experiencing God and really coming to a sense of self they didn't have.
Wow. And that's changed. That's the shirt that you're representing, right?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about Changed.
Changed was another surprise. It's fascinating how the Lord will take something that I think that the enemy meant for harm, and he'll work it for good. And that's what changed is. That's how change happened. But in 2018, there was a law or a bill that was being proposed in the California legislature, and it would have made illegal any form of counseling or ministry, even resources. So even things like books or conferences would have been illegal if it was suggesting that there could be any change that a person could experience in their sexual orientation.
Wow.
And of course, we know that in that it was okay if you headed in a direction of homosexuality, but if you were suggesting that there might be any pathway out of homosexuality, then that would have been declared illegal, even books and conferences. And so, of course, anybody that has had a testimony like mine of having the Lord having led you out of that, and you have enough change in your own experience of your identity and sexuality that now you do have feelings for the opposite sex. We've been married for 14 years, have 4 kids. And so I'm like, I hear these laws and I'm like, this is not okay. First of all, from a sense of the government saying you may not pursue something, you may not, pursuit of happiness. I found I was not happy as someone confused about my sexual identity or dominated by same-sex attraction. That was not a happy place for me. So I'm like, first of all, the government doesn't have any right in saying that I may not feel a certain way or pursue an identity. It's okay if I want to pursue heterosexuality, I should have that right. And then, so we headed that direction with it and ended up testifying in government hearings.
Wow.
So like there would be like 2 people testifying, for the bill and 2 people opposing the bill, with all these, assembly people or Congress people sitting around you in this boardroom. And all of a sudden I'm telling everyone things that I promised myself I would never tell anyone in a court hearing. And and then we watched, though, as we would share our testimonies, and it would not really be received, which of course these people don't know me. They don't know my character or anything like that. And so we said to each other, we need a book of testimonies. And so we started reaching out, put together this book of 37 testimonies at the time.
In 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was
from start to finish. It was published,
from the time it was submitted to the publisher, it was like probably 2 or 3 weeks, and a couple of weeks later, we had the books in our hands. But it caused a stir, and we decided, we need to go at the next hearing. We need to go and rally on the Capitol steps and just declare our testimonies. And so all of a sudden, these people got on airplanes, paid their own way. People like me that have a testimony like mine got on airplanes, flew to California to stand on the Capitol steps with us.
How many were there?
There were over 30. Mm-hmm. And just, we did 2.5 hours worth of 5-minute testimonies on the Capitol steps. And, we had senators come out and watch. We had local, NBC and different Christian outlets that were covering parts of the event. And it caused this stir because it turns out there's people all over the world with these. I mean, this is not exactly the testimony that you're encouraged to go public with, right? I mean,
yeah.
If there are people like me out there, they probably haven't declared it anywhere, because why do that? It's like, if you find resolution, you move on, you go build a family, and you go on with your life. You don't broadcast it on a billboard. But because of this bill, we had to. And so now there's this movement of people. We have a closed Facebook group just to keep people protected, that's growing. It's over 2,000 people and growing rapidly, where, we're just encouraging each other and helping each other really have the courage to stand up in this hour and say, I didn't plan on sharing this testimony publicly, but for multiple reasons, I'm letting the world know that God does, God does change people. It's kind of the nature of the gospel is transformation, right? I mean, the Lord changes us in all kinds of ways. So that's how it began, and it's still going, and it's a whole lot of fun just to see the stories of what the Lord's done in people's lives.
Oh, it's so great, Ken. So why would you say that it is important for us as believers, as Christians, to get involved in the legislative process?
It's more important than I ever imagined. I never imagined that my free speech might actually be in jeopardy. I was like, I'm in America, we're in America, we have all these liberties and freedoms. We're so grateful for that. And then boom, you realize, wow, in Canada right now, in Calgary, a law has been passed to where you're not actually allowed to use speech to espouse the idea that there's anything wrong with homosexuality. Now, I have compassion for that issue, but so there are actually pastors now it would be illegal for them to stand up and actually just quote those scriptures. My understanding is if they quoted scriptures that said that homosexuality was a sin, for example, that they could be prosecuted, or they could come under the law's hold on them. So these things are happening right now all over the world, and I don't know what it is in the state that everybody's from, but there are multiple states right now that have passed legislation that's being implemented now to where kindergarten students, as early as kindergarten, are being told a variety of sexual identities that might be theirs, and ones that you may not agree with. I definitely don't agree that it's the power of suggestion with regard to sexual identity is a very real thing. When you're told over and over by your peers or something, because you're a little different, maybe you're a guy that likes to paint instead of, woodworking or whatever. And it's like, oh, you're gay. That affects kids. And so when we start offering them at kindergarten that maybe they're transgender, maybe they're a boy in a girl's body, reasons to get involved with the legislative process, it's the laws that are changing what the experience that children are having. That's a very real thing.
Wow. So have you found, and this is a big question, but is the church being helpful in this fight? Are you finding help, or are you finding no help with the church?
That's kind of a mixed bag there, I would say.
Okay.
I am finding there's a lot good happening, and then there are things that I hope would change.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. So we're finding portions of the church. I think it's a wake-up call for the church right now.
Okay.
I think the church is realizing, wow, the world is changing in ways that we didn't know, and they're realizing, okay, so I can't just come with a scripture and hit someone over the head with it if I'm trying to offer. I actually have to bring the presence of the Lord there to address the felt needs of people and connect their hearts to his loving heart, right?
Wow.
But how do we do that with the LGBTQ issue or those people that identify as that? That's something where it's just like we're just having to get an education. I think everyone is on how do we love these people well. And some churches, their solution to that is we're just going to say, well, then we're going to say that LGBTQ lifestyle and sexual behavior is okay. And in my, the way I read the Bible and then from my personal experience, it's like God has banks that he's put on the river for our protection. And not just to protect me, but everyone around me. And so to me, when we remove those protective boundaries, we open ourselves and our world up to all manner of destruction that we can't see right now, but is a result of our choices. And so to erase those boundaries is really sad for me. And we're seeing that there are a lot of churches and denominations that you would never have thought would have capitulated really to public pressure or to just what the culture's doing. So that's unfortunate. But with that said, there are also churches out there that are realizing, okay, wait a minute, we have to do better at this. We have to get into people's lives and really, instead of being on the sidelines at the Gay Pride Parade and saying what we think, we have to go face to face, have conversations with people that Jesus created, right?
Yeah,
and find out where can we help, So there's good and bad, but at least God is stirring things up.
And I should say, I think one of the biggest things that the church can do is vote. Because, I mean, I am probably your average Christian that really doesn't like to get involved in politics. I feel like, let's just stop talking and just love on each other. Like, let's stop talking about politics. But I think it was a shock to me about 10 years ago when a law passed in my state and I didn't get to vote on it. And it directly affected me and my kids from that day forth. Like, I woke up one morning and this law is in place and it directly affected me. And I was so surprised because I thought, well, gosh, shouldn't I get a vote on that? But really what it is I vote for a representative and they're supposed to represent me. I don't get to vote on a lot of things. Well, the problem is if we don't vote in people that have a biblical worldview, they're not going to represent me. They're not going to represent my family, and they have to. I don't get a vote. So I feel like, especially on these issues, it's so important that we're getting up and we're voting. How many people did you say, Rachel? 30 million?
30 million Christians that do not vote in our country. Especially the last election was decided by 0.005% of the vote.
Add one more zero to that.
So 0.5% was determined.
Do you see what a small fraction? If a fraction of the Christians would vote in people, just do a little bit of research on who has a biblical worldview and vote them in, we could totally turn the tide in an instant. We have to.
True. I could add to I think probably a lot of people watching this, I'm guessing, would think, well, gosh, I don't want to I don't want to put representatives in that are going to force my personal beliefs onto everyone else. And I would say, people that really are serving God, well, would understand that it's not our job as Christians to force our Christian beliefs on everyone else. Okay. Because not everybody has our faith, but I would say that, from a Christian perspective, God put two types of trees in the garden, right? And so he said, hey, of this one type of tree, don't eat, but all these others you can. But God did not take away their Adam and Eve's choices. He actually allowed them to choose. He said, hey, here's what's best for you, but I'm not going to make you do this. And so I'm saying we've got to get elected leaders into office that carry that mindset, that understand that a godly perspective means we set things up for people's protection, but we give them choices. And so, I'm not advocating that we should take away any rights really from LGBTQ people. That's my topic. So that's my example. Sure. But what's happening right now by not having godly elected officials, what's happening is legislation is being passed that specifically takes away rights from the people group like mine. And that probably sounds like hyperbole. It's not. The laws that are being passed. So right now in over a dozen states in America, if you have a child that's under 18 years old, if they're having any confusion about their sexuality at all, the only type of help, professional counseling that they can get, they would not be allowed to suggest that maybe if you're a girl that feels like a boy, that might not be right. They're not allowed to touch that. They have to only affirm the child's belief that she is the opposite sex.
Wow.
So you got to understand, these laws are now it's not about making an even playing field. I'm for that. I'm for LGBT people that feel that they're LGBTQ. They should be able to pursue the lifestyle that they feel that they want. But to come and say, you may not get counseling, to help you leave homosexuality behind. That's not about freedom. That's actually oppression.
And I feel like Christians feel pretty hopeless or helpless to look at things like that. Like, how can we possibly change that? I'll tell you how. Vote in representatives with a godly worldview, and that will change. Yes. We will be represented. But at this point, we haven't been.
Oh my gosh, you guys, that's powerful. That's just good. Okay, well, you've done this already, but we give the last minute of all of our Zoom calls to our contributors to speak directly to our 30 million people that have never voted. Why should Christians get involved in this process?
Christians should get involved in the legislative process and go vote, because it actually affects your life. Whether we realize it or not, we're starting to see examples. It actually changes our lives, the lives of our children, what they will be exposed to at school, what opportunities they will have, what kind of counseling they might be able to get if they needed it. Would it be what beliefs would be espoused in that counseling? Like this, this affects our lives. It affects your life directly, whether we can see it or not. And so, if you want freedom, really, if it's important to you that you be able to choose what you get to do in your life, I'm telling you, this election is extremely important. Freedoms could go away literally in the next 4 years if we don't get out there and actually vote people in.
Your vote is your voice.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, that's good. That's so good. Oh gosh, you guys.
Tiffany and Ken Williams, thank you so much for joining us. Wow,
I just want
what a treat to have you.
Have fun with y'all.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
We'll get off this call and start making plans.
Yes.
Well, thank you for joining us.
I'm so excited that you're doing this. Is amazing. This is an answer to prayer, that this Million Voices thing. I'm telling everybody about it. So,
good. I'm so glad.
I'm doing my part.
Oh, thank you guys. We appreciate you. And you too. We just bless that you're doing it. Such important work. Thank you.
Thank you for going into the places nobody has dared to go.
Really?
So we really do appreciate you. Thanks.
Really. Visit millionvoices.org today for more resources. We will be posting more videos just like this one from thought leaders across the nation. Each of the videos connects to one of our 10 guiding truths. Today, we talked about family.
Go to millionvoices.org and click on Guiding Truths and get more content that matters to you. Also, be sure to go to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow us, like these videos, and share them with your friends and your family. And remember, your voice matters.